Most realtors never scale, not because they're bad at sales, but because they don't have a working system that runs without them. Today, I'm going to break down exactly how you can use YouTube advertising to build a 7-figure real estate business without ever making cold calls or burning yourself into the ground. Here's the truth. Scaling is not just about getting more deals. It's about getting a consistent, predictable lead flow. It's about structuring your business so you can handle more volume without spending an extra 100 hours every single time you get another client. And it's about having the right people and systems in place that can buy you back your time. So before diving into the exact system on how to scale, most realtors are going to experience these 4 issues, which are the bottlenecks preventing them from scaling. One being there's not enough time to serve their clients properly, or all of their clients are coming from referrals, which is no cold traffic, so they deal with the waves of referrals. And these lead to the third problem, which is not enough leads coming into your pipeline. And an indirect consequence of all of this, or external factors applied, the secret killer is themselves. So because of the shortage of leads, this is going to create a lot of issues. But specifically when it comes to scaling, you need a lot of leads, not only just for scaling purposes alone, but because you're going to have clients that are less needy when you get to work selectively with who you want, because you have more volume. It's going to be easier to sell to those who are actually looking for your services. You're going to get more clients from this actual closed deals, which are going to lead to more referrals. And with this, obviously, you're going to be able to reinvest more into the growth, make the key hires that'll allow you to build a team and then eventually build a brokerage. And so segueing into cold calling, it's important to understand that when starting out, your business with cold calling is going to provide you the skills and the foundation that's necessary in order to build the business's backbone. However, it's not going to allow you to scale to get you the sufficient amount of leads needed to have a consistent, predictable pipeline. And the reason for this is because cold calling only has 2 inputs: time, how many dials that you're actually making per day, and then your skill, your ability to book, and your conversion percentage. But naturally, based on the laws of nature, you're only going to be able to make so many calls in a day before you burn out, and even the most skilled people in sales are going to hit a cap on their conversions. And this is where YouTube ads comes into play. It's going to provide 2 forms of leverage that are much higher than the ceiling that cold calling limits you at. The first will be capital leverage. And the way it gives you capital leverage is by applying a profitable ad funnel within your business. So you can do this by adding a systemized approach, having an ad, a lead magnet, an opt-in page, all of this stuff built out, automated, and done for you without you having to manually talk to a bunch of people. Your ad can reach thousands of people without you having to actually have to talk to thousands of people, realistically. And how you can look at this is, if you put $1 into a machine, press a button, and then get $10 back out of it, you'd be pressing that button all day long, if you're logical, of course. And the same principle is going to apply to when you're using a profitable ad funnel. Now, that's capital leverage. And the second type of leverage that YouTube ads provides is media leverage. And as I stated before, one ad can reach thousands or even up to tens of millions of people. But obviously, for most real estate agents, their target market is not going to be tens of millions of people. But the same principle still applies. So the question you're probably asking yourselves now, and the question I get from a lot of my past clients before working with me, why YouTube ads? Why not just run Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, post organically? And the answer really comes down to, it all depends on what your return on investment is and your strategy and the amount of time that you have to commit to that strategy. What we're going to break down right now is just the difference between something like Facebook and or Instagram versus YouTube. When running something like Facebook ads, it can work really well. But the problem is A, the return on investment, and B, the amount of time it takes to get that return and the effort applied. So with Facebook ads, you're going to need an ISA calling leads constantly, because the thing is, when running them, you're reaching out to anyone and everyone. And this is going to lead into the problem with intent-based people. So you're not going to have intent-based buyers. You're going to get hundreds of low-quality leads, tire kickers, people that are just searching, browsing. And you need to be able to have someone that's going to sift through that without wasting your time calling all these people all the time. And like I said before, the reason that all of these hundreds and hundreds of leads are coming in that are cheap, but really low quality, is because of Google's ability, or rather Facebook's ability, to only target locations specifically. You can't target intent-based, keyword-based, which we're going to break down in YouTube. You can only target people based on their location. Because of this is going to lead to high ad fatigue, because it's going to reach out to colder and colder audiences. And most of the time people post generic ads on there and there's no real credibility or authority being built up front with the leads. As opposed to something like YouTube ads where you're using Google's algorithm, which is able to pinpoint 30,000 data points on average for each person. And what I mean by that is a name is somebody's data point. Google literally has 30,000 or 29,999 on average other data points on you besides just your name. They probably know you more than you know you, which is what a lot of people say. And because of this, this is crucial in being able to target exactly who's looking to actually buy or sell. So your videos are showing to the exact people who are looking for your service. Because of this, they're going to be naturally higher quality. And due to Google's algorithm, this makes it advanced targeting. On top of everything else that we just covered, it's great, all great. But the thing is, it's also an unsaturated market. Most people don't want to record themselves, and realtors find it very uncomfortable, which for those who do, just make it that much easier to stand out in your local market. So for example, how Google can actually optimize for these quality leads comes down to the hyper-specific targeting that I was talking about before. So there's a couple of different ways, 4 main ways that you can target people using YouTube ads. The first is your own data segments. So this is for remarketing campaigns. Once you've started running YouTube ads for a while, you can take your existing website visitors, YouTube viewers, and YouTube subscribers and remarket those specific people so that you can stay top of mind, and they're gonna be at the bottom of the funnel. They're probably already looking to use your service, but they maybe are unsure, they're hesitant to move forward, but they know about you, and they just need that top of mind, mere exposure effect in order to just make that call, rebook it, and then close the deal from there. Custom segments is next. This is where you're gonna meet more top of funnel or middle of funnel types of clients. And this is done by targeting people's interests, websites, and search results manually. You then have in-market audiences, which is similar to custom segments, but it's Google's predetermined audiences based on all of these different things that are updated constantly by the AI to be able to discern who's actually looking to buy or sell. I recommend starting with in-market audiences just because of how broad it is. And one thing that's important to understand is when running ads, 80% of your success is going to come down to your creative, your headlines, and everything congruent with the actual offer. Targeting is great. It really matters when it comes down to like the last 20% of your marketing. But if your offer's not correct, your video's not reaching out to your ideal prospect, you're never going to attract who you want. And you're just going to end up wasting a ton of money, again, just like Facebook, on people who are just tire kickers searching or maybe not even interested in your product. And you're actually going to be misinforming them on what your actual offer is. So make sure everything's congruent. You're specifically addressing exactly who you're looking to target, and things will work out great. And the final one, which isn't really used by realtors as much, is demographics. So people's age brackets, household income, and gender. So just for example, here's an example of custom segment where you're able to target specific keywords and manually input them. So for example, best time to sell, what should I do before selling my home? All these keywords can be manually inputted, and your videos will only show to those who type in these certain keywords. And as you can see here, we have location targeting, just targeting a specific location within a specific city. You can get as granular as going 1 mile, and you can get as broad as targeting the entirety of the United States. So do that and use that information how you must. So this is leading me into the understanding of market awareness. There are 5 stages of them, and there's a difference between cold calling and YouTube ads, which most realtors don't really understand the specifics. So they do understand the stages, but you need to understand where people are in your type of outreach method. So with cold calling, and with most people, regardless in your TAM, total addressable market, they're going to be in the unaware stage, meaning the audience is not aware that they have a problem or even are in the market for your specific product or service, or some product or service adjacent or similar to yours. You're going to be reaching out to them for the majority of the time with cold calling, so you have a lot more work to do to bring them to the most aware stage. The other stage that they're most likely in is the problem aware stage. So they're aware that they have a problem, but they have yet to identify an actual solution for it. Sometimes you can get solution aware, but most of the time this doesn't happen. Comparatively to when you're running YouTube ads and you have intent-based targeting going on, plus messaging as well, you're targeting mostly solution aware people, meaning people that are aware of a solution to their own problem, but they're not aware of your specific solution or your offer that's unique, that actually makes it worth choosing you. Or they're product aware as well, which they're aware of your solution, but they just simply haven't taken any action yet. And you're going to find this within remarketing campaigns. Now, The last stage is also the most aware stage. You could also have people in the remarketing campaigns as well, where they're aware of your solution, but you need to push just a small nudge to get them into a buying decision. And the big picture that we're trying to really address here is that the further down the funnel that you are, the more qualified the buyer is and the easier it is to close and the less work it is that you need to do to close. The higher up, the less qualified they are, the more work you're going to need to do. And so with that being said, you need to understand how funnels actually work. So with cold traffic, there are different stages of the buying process. So they have awareness of your service, they then have interest of your service, and then they have action. So this is when they step towards you specifically for your service. So you have them on an email list, etc. Then they move from action to actually booking in a call with you, whether it's a phone or an in-person appointment. And then once they book in that call, you close them via case studies, building that trust and authority with them, they become your client. So with these stages in mind and understood, there are different types of funnels that people do in order to bring people from the awareness stage all the way down to the booking stage where they become clients. You can use group funnels where the goal is to basically have an ad that promotes your group. And then you can just redirect them back to a group where you have retargeting campaigns. You just solve objections via that way. Like if you have a Facebook group, basically just building that trust and authority that way, answering questions. And then, like I said, having retargeting campaigns, email flows, following up with them, just being top of mind and applying the mere exposure effect to get them to book an in-person appointment. You then have a lead magnet funnel, which is basically just having an ad that brings them to a lead magnet, whether it's an ebook, video guide, etc., just solving people's pain points that they're currently experiencing to, again, build that authority and trust. You have a newsletter funnel, does the same thing, directing them to an email page or an opt-in page where they can just submit their email in order to be updated on your daily or weekly newsletter to solve objections again. Or there's something like a VSL and a book a call funnel where you have an ad promoting them to go to an opt-in page where basically you solve their objections via a VSL. You resonate with them and they can book a call directly with you, which basically skips a lot of steps. It's a high barrier of entry and you're gonna be spending a lot of money on the VSL and book a call page comparatively to all these others, which are low barrier to entries. And so all of these are great, but most of the time you're gonna run into issues. And the issues come down to the fact that the group funnel is probably just gonna give you too little information to actually be able to work with a lead that's high intent because the barrier of entry is so low that they don't have to go through steps in order to qualify them. And although your cost per lead is going to be low, the chance of your conversion rate being reasonable or profitable is going to be on the lower end. And compared to book a call funnels, this is really good because you add a lot of questions, which is great. But the thing is, this high barrier of entry is going to make it difficult to actually get leads of high volume that are actually looking for your service that are going to be enough to be profitable. So the way to solve this is just create a hybrid funnel. Basically have an ad where you bring them to an opt-in page that hosts a lead magnet first. This way they can submit low barrier information. So you have their email, name, and phone number while providing them value that solves the pain points and then redirecting them to a booking page where they can book a call on your calendar or have a VSL here as well. So that this way, after they've consumed your information, you then also can redirect them to submit more information, basically just building that trust. This way, so they're not just booking in a page without knowing who you are or, building that trust up front. And it makes it so much easier to then promote your next steps on the thank you page, booking them for like a phone consultation, bring them to a listing or buyer's presentation, and then have them become a client. So this is all great, having a system set up and a whole automated process in place. But the problem is what most realtors do is they have this in place and then they don't manually follow up with the leads. And you're gonna run into a large issue in doing this because you're gonna be basically just wasting money and throwing it into the garbage. So when converting leads, you're gonna be able to book 90% more appointments just by following up with them manually within the first 5 to 15 minutes after the lead opts in. So you can do this via appointment setting where you combine your own manual outreach and then automation to then have the leads book a call. And because you're a variable when you're actually reaching out manually, you're gonna book about 3 to 10x more calls rather than just waiting around for people to respond or book a call directly into your calendar. You can also do this using lead magnets. So basically the goal of the lead magnet is to just capture the leads, also nurture the leads to provide more information, and then unqualify the leads as well. So for those who are not looking, they're just a certain percentage of people. But the ones that you're nurturing and you're capturing, you can promote your sales mechanism to them. And then this way, it naturally gives them an incentive to just book an appointment and a reason to book the appointment because you're building that authority and trust. So there's a reason for them to show up on the call. And for those that are unqualified, you basically can just send them like long form content and just add them to a newsletter. And so this way you can have a whole ecosystem for those who are not qualified, those who are actually qualified, and you can have much more volume because some people aren't in the buying process right now, but they might be within 3 to 6 months. And this way you can stay top of mind for those unqualified leads and then book more calls when the time arises. So that's basically the manual follow-up system, but you also need the automated system, and we're just gonna break that down a little bit more in depth. So immediately you're gonna want this type of flow in effect. So this is the mere exposure effect. Basically after they opt in, you've had 20 minutes of your full attention. This is what's called the mere exposure effect. So you can do this by after they submit their information by consuming a lead magnet. You basically are gonna wanna hit them with a bunch of different exposures. So number 1 would be the thank you page. This is gonna be done within the first 20 minutes. And then number 2 is gonna be the lead magnet and delivery email. So this is gonna be delivered immediately to them. After the lead magnet is delivered, you can then introduce email flows, basically solving common FAQs and objections, and this will be delivered after 5 minutes. So this is another exposure. Then exposure number 4 is also followed with the email as well, which is SMS marketing. And then number 5 is the phone consultation. So after all of these 3 things are delivered, the lead magnet immediately within your email and your text, whichever one is more convenient, then also having an email and SMS flow, seeing if they actually received the ebook, etc. You're gonna wanna contact them simultaneously after this point to ensure that after they've consumed your value, they found you, to be valuable, you then are reaching out to them within the time frame of which they're consuming it, and you can make the conversation that much easier. And so if they don't follow up, you're gonna wanna have a reach out 1 to 2 times per week for the lead. So one time is gonna be sales focused every 2 to 4 weeks, and the other time you're gonna be reaching out to them is through cross promotion, whether it's in your CRM or you're providing conversion mechanisms that they aren't currently using. For example, sending them things like case studies, etc., just to stack more value, to keep yourself top of mind and provide value simultaneously so that they can build that trust and authority if they're more skeptical up front. And then finally, with all of the systems in place, now you need to understand scaling. So in order to scale, you need to understand certain metrics that you have to track. So there's average order value, which basically represents the average revenue generated per transaction or your average transaction percentage, so average commission. And then you're gonna wanna understand your cost per acquisition. So how much is it actually costing you to close one deal? You then also wanna know your cost per lead. So how much is it costing you? How much is one lead worth? So every time someone books a call, how much dollars are you spending for that lead? You're then gonna wanna know your lead to booking rate. So it's gonna show the efficiency of converting the leads into scheduled appointments. If you're anywhere lower than 10% and lower, you're probably not doing it correctly and you need to switch up some sort of method, whether it's your offer, who you're reaching out to, etc. And then you wanna know your conversion rate. So how many people that are actually clicking on the ad are converting. So understanding all those metrics, here are just the YouTube ad specific metrics. So what you're gonna be aiming for in order to see about a 10x return on your ad spend is you want about a 5 to 15% opt-in rate, meaning 5 to 15% of those who click on the ad and land on your landing page to consume a lead magnet should be actually submitting their information. From there, you're looking for about a $30 to $50 cost per lead. So on YouTube, if anything's lower or anything's higher than this, most of the time the ad is not getting to the right target audience, so you're gonna need to change up your offer. You're also gonna wanna shoot for about a $600 to $1,000 cost per acquisition, meaning it takes about $600 to $1,000 to close somebody or get someone under contract. You wanna shoot for a 1% click-through rate. This is just industry standard. I see conservatively about a 5% conversion rate will also keep you good. I've seen with higher performing realtors that I've had personally under me, about a 10% conversion rate, which is really good if you're good at closing. And then a 20% booking rate, meaning about 20% of people of the 5 to 15 that submit their information on the landing page to consume the lead magnet also then book a call on your calendar. So with those metrics being said, you then can reverse engineer them to find your exact budget that you're gonna need in order to determine your target revenue. So let's say you're looking for $20,000 per month. You're going to need to know your average deal size, assuming most realtors it's about $10,000. And then taking the metrics that we had, average cost per acquisition, let's say $1,000, 5% conversion rate, and a $50 cost per lead. When throwing that all into the calculator, you'll notice you'll need about 40 leads per month in order to achieve that. And then an ad spend of $2,000 per month in order to get 40 leads, which then lead to 2 closed deals out of 10,000. 2 times 10,000 is obviously 20,000 per month, and all you need is $2,000 in order to reach that. Now, those are low numbers, but in order to scale upwards, let's say you're looking for something like $100,000 per month, input the exact same metrics, and you're then gonna get, because you change this variable, about 200 leads you're gonna need per month, and you're gonna need about $10,000 per month in order to get about $100,000 in the end. That's the exact system I'm using to help my clients scale their real estate businesses to 7 figures in 2025. If you want help scaling your own business, click the appointment booking link in the pinned comment or the description below. That will take you to an entry call that will go over whether or not my system makes sense for your business. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one.